Hello, hello. Sorry, I'm a couple seconds late, well, minutes late. Let's see if I can find myself. Trying to navigate here and see if I can Hello, hi Ellen. Whew. Took me a while to find myself on the computer. Welcome. I'll give it a minute. Sorry for being late. Technology was not my thing. Okie dokie, we will start. Hello everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight. Not so nice out there, but oh, I see people. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okie dokie. And I can see the backer. Awesome. Okie dokie. Thanks, Ellen, for being my other half on the other side. I usually have Sherry on this stream as well, but Sherry and Matt are both in Mexico enjoying the time. So I'm all alone this evening and happy to be here. So welcome everyone to Learning Live, December 10th. I am Darlene and I'm here to talk about Spellbinders CraftStax. If you're not sure what that is, it's their storage solution that they came out with. I believe early this year they came out with it. I don't know for sure when. But as you know, this whole month of December, we have been looking at our favorite tools. And this is Sue's favorite tool. But to be honest, it's a lot of our team's favorite tool. And the reason for that is the multiple uses for it. And tonight I'm going to go through the many ways that you can use it. I probably won't cover as nearly as what other people use it for, but I will show you what my favorites are. So just to start off is what is a CraftStax. And Spellbinders came out with this really cool storage solution. Let me just grab the two sizes. So they are little containers of goodies. So let me empty one of them so I can show you first what it looks like. So Spellbinders came out with these two little CraftStax. Has anybody heard of them or used them? What we like about this was the way it helps you organize. It's not meant for you, well, you can for sure use it in your craft room to store items on a daily basis, but it's more of the on-the-go type projects. So they came up with two sizes. This one over here is called their medium tray, and this one over here is called their large tray. In each unit, it has two types of tray. There is the slim tray. So the slim tray is quite narrow. And then there's a deeper tray, so you can fit a little bit more stuff inside. So this acts as a slim tray, but it also acts as a cover for the bottom piece. It stays very, very snug. I find that the first time you open these up, they do take some wiggle room to lift them up. But once you get them going, I find even brushing a little bit of a powder tool, it makes it easier to glide off because you don't want things to fall. Same thing for the large tray, is that the lid also comes off. The two slim trays are very thin, and then the deeper ones. So the way they package that is that they sell it in three different ways. The first way is the medium tray. It comes with 4 of them. They sell that as one package. And then they sell the large tray, and it's 2 large trays in one package. But they also sell one called the combo tray. And what the combo tray is, that it's a good starter for you to feel it out if you're not sure if it's something that you'll use. It comes with 1 full large tray, and it comes with 2 small trays. Just like that. So there is the medium tray set, the large tray set, and then the combo tray set. And the combo tray set is one of my favorites because it gives you the 2 small ones as well as the big one. And you can see I put a little tabby there just to help me lift it. That is one tip, is that if you're struggling opening it up because they're still very tight and new, but once you start using them, they become a little bit easier to release. I just put washi tape or painter's tape on a ribbon for the lid, and it just helps me open that lid a little bit more easily. But as time goes by, you'll notice that they do become a little bit looser and easier to work with. So the one thing that this tray is, I'm not sure if you can see, is that the 2 small trays stack on top of the large tray. So all these trays are stackable. And what I mean by that is that you can put many trays and stack them together. And they stack really, really nicely. They stack nicely, but they do come apart as you lift them. So they are not ones that when you snap them together, they stay together and you have to pull them apart. But they are stackable in a way that they can go on your shelf nicely, or if you're doing some crafting and you need it put to the side, they stack nicely. And the nice thing about the small trays, as you saw earlier, is that they also stack nicely on the large tray. So now that many trays are now in one single unit. Okay, so another thing for these trays is that just recently they came out with their little bands. They are called the CraftStax accessories. I call them the belly bands because that's essentially what it's for. So as you saw earlier, that these do go nicely on top of each other, but if I lift it, they come apart. They don't snap into it. And that's why these belly bands came to be. And what they are is they are a silicone rubber, like a rubber band, to go over your CraftStax. Okay, and they came out with 2 different sizes. They have the small size, so they're for the medium trays, as well as the large bands for the large trays. And you're wondering why so many colors? Well, the colors is there for you to sort your trays by projects. You can also use like washi tape and put the name on the side, so that way if you're working on different projects, let's say Christmas, birthday, you can grab the right tray. But even putting a belly band, so let's say all my pink trays are for Christmas, all my blue trays are for Halloween. So if you're working on projects, then you could just go by color. So the one thing to know is that under each tray, there is a little notch on both sides, so one over here and one over here, and that is where the rubber bands go. And that's so it stays in place, and that way it doesn't roll off. So really hard to see, but there's a little notch there that keeps the rubber band from going over. In order for it to go over, you really do need to stretch it for it to go over, and it keeps that lid nicely closed. But this is a rubber band. So the way they've done it is that you can stack. So let's say I have 2 trays. Let's say my birthday, I have my card bases in one and I have my embellishments in the other one. I can tie 2 trays together. So for the large tray, because it's a rubber band, there you go. So 2 trays, and now they do not, see how I'm just holding it? It's keeping those 2 trays together without it falling apart. You could fit a 3rd tray. It is a rubber band, so there is some stretch and some give. I find 2 really perfect. I've seen people done 3. Let's try it here. I'm going to, it is a rubber band, so they do stretch. You might not get the Spellbinders all the way around. So I would do 3, and you can see it's already pretty stretched there. That's the max I would go for the large one, is just the 3. I think that's perfect. It's stacked, and that way, if I put this aside and I'm ready to work on birthday, I take out my pink banded trays and I will work with that. For the small one with the smaller band, I did have it somewhere here. I could fit about 4 trays with the smaller one. A fifth one is quite tight. I wouldn't do, you could if you wanted to, but it really does stretch it. With the medium trays, the band goes on the shorter side, so not like the long side. It goes on the shorter side. So let's do this. It's like ponytailing hair here. So you want to get it over into the groove so they don't slide. If you're particular, you want Spellbinders to be right there, it can go. But there you go. All my 4 stacks are together. And this is a great way to put it on the shelf too, so it doesn't roll off, it doesn't fall. Are the trays thick enough to put ink pads? If you put ink pads in the tray, you won't be able to put the cover on top. I find that the cover has a little lip to it at the bottom. So right over here, not sure if you can see it, almost think of it as a little Tupperware. It has this groove here. It sits too low that I found that it keeps it up. So give me a second. I think the rounded ink pads like Gina K's and Pink Fresh is a little bit finicky because it has that curve on their full size. I should have some, let's try Distress. Let's try it. Give me 2 seconds. Let me go find some in the drawer. So I think it's too bulky. Yeah, it won't close. It's just because of the way the lid stands, it won't close. But I do use it for if I'm prepping classes. I do stack all my ink cubes or whatever color I'm using in it and leave the tray open. And then I would stack this open on the top. So that way if I'm working on my projects, my inks are already there with everything else I need underneath it. So it does not fit the ink cubes or the inks because of the way the lid is. But if you're using it without the lid, it can for sure fit things inside. So that's what the belly bands are for. But here are some ideas of how I like to store it. So I'm looking at comments here and I see a few people have used the trays. There's probably endless ideas. But here are some of my favorite ways. So give me 2 seconds because as I was showing it, I did take some of my stuff out just so you could see it more easily. So one of the things I like to do, and the sizing is interchangeable, is I like doing coloring on the go. So when I like to color on the go, I have already pre-stamped images. The nice thing about the small ones is that it does fit like pencil crayons, small markers. I could fit a few Copics in there, but still the lid is quite, it won't close properly. So that's when this rubber band comes in handy because I can close the lid on it. And that way, well, I have to put 2 trays in here, but I'll use it and put a few colors and elastic band it, put the band on it to keep it shut. But it's just coloring on the go. And what I like is that I can take one, put it on top, and then I can color. So that's one of my favorite ways to use this tray is for coloring on the go. The nice thing about Lawn Fawn, or if you're doing any stenciling, so waffle flower sometimes comes with me with paper, is that I use a small one for my brushes. Let me just open this up without flying. So it does keep some nice blending brushes inside. Unfortunately, it doesn't do the bigger bristles, but the waffle flower brushes, some of the Prism Studios, the thin ones also fit inside. So I can bring some of this to go. And how I would pack this is that I have it, oops. So let's say I have this here and I have my other inks here. I can stack them on top and I just rubber band it. So yes, I know the small one, the belly band's supposed to go on the side, but because I'm using a big tray, I can belly band the whole entire thing. And I carry this. So if I'm coloring in the car, coloring at my kids' games, then I just have everything I want. And the top tray serves as like a table for me. It's nice and sturdy. You can also use the back side. Like, I love how sturdy the trays are. So that is one way. Another way, if I'm going to crops or if I'm doing classes at the site, is it's a good place to put adhesive. So I have a few of each of my foam in here ready to go. So great storage space. It keeps it nice and sturdy, and that way you're not peeling your foam and having it lift. So that's another way I like to use it. As I said earlier, I've been working on projects, so keeping all my bits and pieces. So having all my cards ready. So I'm preparing this winter scene card here. I have my, not card bases, but more my card panels, because I always do card panels and then I stick it onto a card base. But everything that I need, so all my ephemera stuff is already cut, and all I really need is glue. So I can bring this on the go, glue my pieces together, and it's ready to go. So storing, you know, your projects on the go, and that fits nicely. Lid. Another thing that I like using for this is sorting for classes. So if you're doing like a Deanna class or class preps for me, is that these are really good for even the small ones. You know, if you have to do, put your dies, let's say laser cuts for card 1, 2, you can use the little trays and number them 1 to 5 and stuff like that. Donna says that she stores her All in Create and Simply Stated critters in the trays, and that way it's ready to go for projects of pre-cut pieces. That's a good way to do it, because that way you're using the things and you see it. And I like how with the tray you can spread things up and have it to go. And let's say you're ready to call it a day, you could put a cover on it, and that way they don't go missing, they don't go flying off the table, you know, cats, dogs, jumps, and who knows. But here is one where my blue, I did a class a couple weeks ago using the Spellbinders mantle class. This is how I prep my classes. So I do use different trays, different bands. So as I said earlier, the band is perfect for keeping the lid closed. So this one here is keeping this lid closed because all my sample cards were inside and the lid doesn't fit because it's too bulky. So this is where this came in, and I went the other way just to keep it closed. If you're stacking more than one, then go the other way. That's why the notches are, but I wanted this lid to stay closed so nothing gets ruined. And it's a great way to protect your stuff too. We all know that who drinks in the craft room besides, you know, using our water, our cups for our paintbrushes. You know, if we're drinking, if anything spills, you want to protect it. So these are great to cover all that. So here was my class prep. So this was my cards. We also had to do die cutting in this class. So I kept my dies on a magnet, so that way they didn't fly off. If it fell off the magnet, at least it was in a tray. And I have this ready to die cut all my pieces. So they fit really nicely. So it fits a 4x6 magnet in here. And that was ready to go. So for die cutting pieces, I had that. And then what I like about the big tray is that I use the Totally Tiffany pocket dividers. It's not necessary. You could put Ziploc bags in there. But I already had them numbered with each card. And the nice thing about these dividers is that they have the tabs here. So you could do card 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's a great way to sort the items for your classes. So when the teacher goes, take out card 1 stuff, you just grab your card 1 pocket, take out all your goodies, and you can craft with it. So I kept everything in here. And so that way, if I was doing class 1, I would use either the bottom tray or the top tray. I like the top tray because it's easier to dig your fingers through. I would pour all the elements onto the tray. Ooh, if it comes out. And that way I can spread it out, and as the teacher is teaching and saying, okay, take the White House, glue it on, it was easier for me to lift even with tweezers. So having this tray comes in handy when it's gluing or when you're doing class prep. So that was another favorite way. Does anybody use this in other ways than what I've shown? It's quite nice the way the storage is done. And here is another way that I store. And I'm not sure, I know a few of us have bought the advent calendar for Spellbinders, but I've been using these trays to store the advent calendars. I have one for last year's and I have one for this year's. I kept them separate. I didn't group them with like my florals, my pets and stuff like that. But I kept it in this tray. It's just easier for me to find. And because they're little, I did keep all the, similar to what Chris has been showing in our inner circle, I do also keep the little bobs because these are great photos for us to figure out. So I do keep this. And this is what I've been using my storage for. Not sure if I can fit all 24 days in here. The only thing is that if the sequences I didn't put in here, last year they had embossing folders. I know I needed another tray because that gave too much bulk, but it fits a lot of magnets in here. So great way to prep. So I have one full magnet from days 1 to 10. I have a spare one ready to go for the next couple of days. But as you can see, even with dies in here, it doesn't take up much bulk. So another way is I've seen people use it for their nesting dies, especially if it's a nesting die that you use all the time. You want easy, like you could just store it on your table and have it ready to go. So another way is having this up. So this one will be permanently, for now, because I have last year's also in a tray. Marked as 2023 and this one's 2024. I don't know if I'll move it. I do like it in here for now, and that way if these little bits fall out, I know it's stationed in here. I've also noticed that with our PCW magnets, they're strong magnets, but what I like about it is that, see how the magnets are very strong, they cling to each other, but the die, oops, let's see. If I put a die here, so those magnets are still together, but the die doesn't move on it, still stuck, which is really nice. Like the magnets are pretty strong. So you don't have to be afraid if you're stacking multiple magnets in your trays that it's going to be stuck on the other side. That it's been really, really good. And I do like that. So this was Sue's favorite tool. It is also my favorite tool. One thing I forgot to bring because it's in my work bag is that I actually use a small one and I have my stitching stuff in it. So I pre-cut some of the Lawn Fawn and Spellbinders stitching dies, and I have my needles as well as my threads of the colors I'm using, and I have it to go. And that way my needle doesn't go missing. So this is the CraftStax. I love how versatile it is for different things that you're doing. Either if you're doing class prep or just storing things on the go. But those are a few things of how I use it. Is there any questions? Is there any other ideas? I'm just saying if I missed anything. So one thing that also works in here is if you're creating projects and you're using an embossing folder. I found that because of the depth in the trays, you could put an embossing folder plus your paper and then be able to take this whole thing and work on a project. So lots of things to fit in it. And if it doesn't fit or your lid doesn't close, that's why the bands are here. I love this new addition. I love how they color coded it. They come with 5 different colors. They're very, very strong. Yeah, lots of ways to do organizing. It's how I do a lot of prep or for projects. It also fits in the Totally Tiffany bags, either the toolboxes or the Kirsten bags because of the length of it. They fit inside. So if I'm doing crops, if I am coming to the store, I just keep all my projects and I bring it with me. I know it's harder when it's, you know, when it comes to scrapbooking because your paper doesn't fit in here. That's why the Totally Tiffany storage comes in handy, the Scrapmaster that Chris showed a couple weeks ago. But these are great additions to it. So if you're bringing a stamp set or, you know, a stamp chamois, your different stamps, or if you're die cuts and stuff like that, they can fit in here. That travels with your scrapbook pages. Well, that is it. I know that's quicker than usual, but it's an awesome project. And if you haven't tried it, give it a try. If you're local to the store, we do have our store one that you can come and play around and see if you like it. It's very, very handy in my craft room and plus work because they travel with me. But that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We have one more Learning Live next week, which is December 17th. So Sherry will be back with our last one of 2024, and we will start back in January. So next week, it's another favorite tool, and it's Tanya's favorite tool, and it's on the glass mat. So hope you tune into that because that's also a very versatile item to have in your craft room, either the big size or the small size, and either black or white. So thank you so much for joining me. And if you haven't seen, I put a little spontaneous sale while the bosses are away on Beyond the Craft items. So some of the yummy goodies that we have. So take a look in that little folder in our online store. But other than that, have a great week. Stay dry. It seems really, really rainy out there and foggy in Stouffville. But thank you so much for joining me this evening. Have a great night, and we will see you again